Lakeland Schools, and she is a Google teacher extraordinaire. She's got all those certifications and all that. And as I said, we've seen bits and pieces of this. I've never had us see the whole presentation. So Wanda's going to do her whole gobs of goodies from Google, and we are ready to roll with that. Thank you again. Let's give Wanda a hand for volunteering. Twisted her arm, but she graciously said yes. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Good.
So I put this link in the file there. You can get to that, or you can just use that link. And John, just give me a heads up before you want me to stop.
No, you're ready to go.
No, I just keep on going.
Yeah,
So
you're ready to go.
just
It's
say,
about 11.
it's time to go.
No, that's not 11:34. That's her Eastern Central Time. It's 10:34. Why don't we say about 11:30?
Let me fix this. Yes.
And it is on Facebook Live, correct?
Yes. Oh, goodness. All right. Here we go. Okay, so this document, as you look through this document, no, I will not be covering everything in this document if you've been scrolling through it. A little bit about this document. So I've done this session a couple of times a year since 2015, I guess. And so this is a living document. I can actually go in and use the draft back extension, and so as of today, 16,383 edits that I've made to this document. So the short URL here doesn't change, but the contents of the file do. So if you ever want to come back and see the latest version of this, you can always use this URL and get the latest version of the document. I'm going to show you a little bit about making your own copy of it as well, though. Feel free to take this document and use it however you wish. It's just a curated list of stuff. So take it back, do sessions with it, share it with your folks. It's there for the taking. So the way this document is organized as of about a year and a half ago is that there's going to be some top goodies. Those are going to be the things that I'm really going to try to hit. Then there's some honorable mention goodies and some basic goodies, and then just a lot of stuff organized by service, whether it's Google or otherwise. Obviously, most of this stuff is either Google or other stuff that plays well with Google. That makes a really long session title, so I usually don't call it that. But a good number of these things are browser-based, so they may work with other browsers as well. Or if, depending on what platform you're on, if you're using Chrome, a lot of these things are Chrome-specific. Okay, so the very first thing in the top goodies is my current favorite for managing bookmarks and tabs and that kind of stuff inside of Chrome. It's called Toby. And so what happens when you have Toby installed is your new tab becomes this little collection manager of bookmarks. And you can collect bookmarks in a Toby and then share the Toby with other people. And I linked a couple of them on there. So at TETC this year, I made a Toby of resources that I came across. I started one for FETC, but then got so tied up in FETC that I stopped adding to it. My plan is to go back and update that. It's good when you go to a conference that then you suddenly, it's just so good you don't even worry about curating it because you want to be in the moment. So, but so when you click on a shared Toby, this is what it looks like. So you see all the little cards there for the different services and stuff that I found. And if you had the Toby extension installed, you could actually click here and open all of those in tabs. Don't do it. I have learned through the grapevine that if you have 99 tabs open, this plus sign changes to like a sad faced emoji. I have not tried it because I think my computer would like start to smoke or something. You have limited ability to customize these. You can come in and I'll pull up this one. You can come in and you can edit. You can change the name here and have a little short description. You can't put like paragraphs in that part of it, but it's very easy to share. Somebody does not have to have an account to see I shared Toby. It's just public or not. Very handy way to share links. Adding things is very simple. Here's my FETC Toby. If I wanted to add something, like here's this will show all of the open tabs. You want to add something, you just grab it and drop it over here, and now it's a part of the Toby. So that's Toby, very handy, my new favorite. Does not play well with mobile, because you have to, sometimes that dragging and dropping does some weird stuff. But definitely check out that if you're looking for something like that. So I talked a second ago about making a copy of this document. There are some URL tricks that you may be familiar with. Let me open this up so you can see this here. So long ID followed by slash and then something. It might be edit, it might be preview, it might be whatever. If you take that last slash and take off everything after that and put in the word copy and then hit return, this is what somebody would see if you shared that URL with them. So if you ever want to force somebody to make a copy of it, that's the easiest way. Because what I found was if I just said, here's a document, go make a copy, they tend to go file save, and that doesn't work with a Google file. So there's an extension that helps you remember this, in case you don't do it quite frequently. And I put that in the link down here. It's called Sir Links-a-Lot. Cute little name. And so what happens when you have Sir Links-a-Lot, bring him over here. All right, so this is Sir Links-a-Lot. Looks like the little hat with the little glasses. And so when you're on a Google file that you want to perform this task with, if you click it, it gives you all of those fun URLs that you could use. So you could force a copy and it changes that. You could force a preview, which is good if you're sharing a document and you don't want to have all the menu items and stuff around. You just want a nice clean copy of it. If you save it as a template, it's kind of like the force a copy, except they get to see the file before they're forced to make a copy of it. You can also do as a preview. And so when you choose those things, you can come down here and copy the link to a clipboard. I would not worry so much about the copy G shortener because the Google shortener URL is going away, in case you haven't heard that goo.gl. It's going to be dead soon, so don't worry about that. But so then, like here, I just copied the template version. So this is what somebody would see if they were going to look at it as a template instead of a forced copy. And eventually it will load. But it lets them see this, and then if they wanted to edit it, they click Use Template, and it has them make a copy of it. So I'm not going to wait for that to load, but there you go. So one of the reasons why I like to suggest for people to make a copy of this is so that you can make notes. So if you make your own copy and there's this particular tool that you know you want to share with certain people, you can just add a comment and start taking notes in the side of it, and it kind of a little annotation feature there for you. Okay, so that gets us through the URL tricks. Oh, well, no, so Google added this not too long ago. and this is a post by Tony Vincent. If you don't follow his Learning in Hand, he posts tons of great stuff. But so Google added some little features not too long ago where you're able to, let me just come up here and do this instead of looking for it. If I typed in doc new, it just gives me a new blank Google document. If I did slides.new, it gives me a new slides file. Sheet.new gives me a new blank Google Sheet file. So that's something that Google launched not too long ago. It doesn't apply to all of their stuff unless they've changed it since the last time I checked. You can't do drawings.new or keep.new, but I expect those things will be coming. So that's kind of that, he talks about that in that post as well. All right, so Google search. I always try to include Google search in here. It's the easiest way to get people into Google. I would have to say this is true. Most people have used Google search. I don't know the stats on that. That would be an interesting stat to try to come up with. I always like showing a few Google search things. I like cats, for those of you who don't know me, so I tend to use cats as my search criteria, which, and I do this whenever. Most of the time it's safe.
I always do cats too, that's so funny.
Most of the time. There was a political moment here and there where cats was not very safe, but okay, so when you search on Google, by default, the filter is set to all search results, but there are these built-in filters. You could choose just to search images, videos, news, shopping, more. And each one of those search results has a tools button. And tools gives you some additional search filters. And it's content specific, so whichever one of those filters on, you get different tools. So if I just came over here and clicked tools, says anytime, if I just wanted to see search results for cats in the past hour, I can do that. There's cats, okay? I tend not to look at this too often because when cats make the news, it tends to be some terrible story, and so I'm always like, ugh. So you can have, if you go to images, and this is always where I go, if you go to images and click on tools, there are another whole set of filters there. So you can say, if I want to use a picture of a cat in a presentation, and I want it to be a really nice, high quality image, I can come in here and say size, and I can choose large, and now I've just got large pictures of cats. And if I want to filter that further, I can go to usage rights and say, I just want large pictures of cats labeled for reuse. And now you're, using that nice model of digital citizenship there. You can, let me come back here and do any size, because you just never know when you're going to want a picture of purple cats. You can change the color option to different colors of cats, okay? My favorite color option is the transparent one, because if you want to use a picture of a cat on a colored background and you don't want the white box, you come in and choose.
That is right here.
So you come in, you choose transparent, and now you've got a cat without the white box.
Translucent?
Transparent. Okay. Again, you can use usage rights and that kind of stuff, and there's type and time and all of those things in there. So videos, you have some tools there as well. So you can say, I want cat videos that are longer than 20 minutes, because there are plenty of them out there. Maybe 20 plus minute cat videos that have been posted in the last hour. There's one. 25, 42. There's this game out now that has cats in it, so it's like, that's what all of those videos come up now, are people playing these cat games. But so you can also do quality, so you can choose just high quality cat videos, not, you know, high video quality, not like the cat is just fantastic. So you have video options, you have news options. I don't go to the cat news thing for the very reason that I just said before. But I will click on more, and I'm going to come over to books. If you've never played around with Google Books, this is the other thing that will just change your life. Because, you know, Google scanned in all of this stuff to try to make their machine learning understand what, you know, images look like and that kind of stuff. Well, they've put all of this stuff online so that you can see it. A great tool for those of you who are in grad school. You can find a lot of good stuff on Google Books. So Google Books has its own little tools option where you can choose, you know, free books, previews. Their previews have a lot of stuff in them. But you can not only do books, but you can do magazines and newspapers. And I just love, in my spare time, going to magazines, because you can come in here to magazines, and if I search Life magazine, here are all the Life magazines at the touch of your finger. Here's Life magazine from November 23rd, 1936. And so you can come in here and you can, you know, look at the advertisements from that time. You can look at the stories from that time. You can take screenshots of these things, use them in presentations.
That's cool.
You can come in here and search inside that magazine. You can use search criteria here as well. But so, you know, think about comparing advertisements from decade to decade for a similar product for a student project, or looking at the actual news stories from the moon landing and how it was, you know, read about at that time. So just you know, no more going and searching through the microfiche kind of stuff. It's all right there. You can also come in, and if you find something nice, you can click on Add to My Library, and you can kind of build a list of things that maybe you want to come back and look at later. You can do that as well.
Is that only if you're signed in?
Only if you're saving, I think.
So like, I mean, if you've got
Here.
multiple students sharing a computer.
Let's look and
Where would
see.
it
Let me
go?
open a guest window and go to books.google.com. All right, so let's do here. So I'm not signed into a Google account right now, which is what I just did. If I did Life magazine. All right, so they can see the stuff, so they could take screenshots if they needed to. If they wanted to add to their library, I'm sure they'd be prompted to sign in at that point.
How did you get the not logged in?
Okay, so there's two options for accessing a non-signed in Google account. So I have a lot of accounts, and I don't even have them all on here, but these are the ones that I use most often. If I wanted to actually add a person, like I want my work account, I want my personal account, I can come to add person, and then I could have multiple windows open with all my Google accounts, and they don't kind of get all messed up. But if I want one that's not attached to anything, I click on my little icon here and I come down to open guest window. And so now that is a Google window that's not attached to any account. So if I'm posting something to the web, sharing a file that I want, you know, anybody to see, I will come over here and do this and just kind of verify that somebody doesn't have to
How
be
did you
signed
get that
in.
little icon again?
Sure. So here's my little icon over here, my little avatar. And so I click there, come down to open guest window.
Does that have an extension?
No, it's just built into Chrome, should be.
Third one.
Another alternative is an incognito window that will do it. It's not as separate, at least. There's kind of a weird way to. It still keeps you in your account, but it doesn't track your progress, and so sometimes it doesn't attach things to your account. I use guest window more than I use incognito window. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to show you on the search stuff. Is that cool? Some good search tips there. I always include that, and I'm always hesitant because people say I know how to search. And there's so much that's hidden in there, you know. Okay, so back on the document, I put in some links to some keyboard shortcut things. So there's different links that go to the support section. We always think about the Chrome shortcuts, but not necessarily the shortcuts inside of the services. And I don't use them all that often unless I find myself doing something over and over and over, and I'm like, there's got to be a better way than me going up and choosing this from a menu. For example, if I have my Gmail open and I click C, it opens a new Compose window. And I don't have to go over and click twice, I just go C. But so all of these links here take you to the Chrome, the Google support options there where you can find those. A couple of years ago, I started doing some sketchnoting things, and I started using the keyboard shortcuts as topics for sketch notes. So there's some slide decks here that, so I have one for Chromebooks, I have one that's more just G Suite in general. And so I just took these little keyboard shortcuts and made little sketch notes of them. If you want to use those, you are welcome to, but what I suggest is if you're gonna share those with your student users, make a copy of it inside your domain and then share that copy. For example, our domain is a walled garden. We don't let kids accept things from outside the district. Even if I shared that file with our students, they would get a thing that says request access. And they click that button and then I get emails. And I can't give them access. So I ignored those emails. Somebody shared this, an educator friend in Toronto. I think every child in the Toronto school system clicked request access one day, and I just was bombarded with all of these, which is awesome that I know it's being used, but I couldn't help, and I didn't know who shared it, so I just put out on Twitter, somebody in the so-and-so school district, it's not working, do this.
And it probably fixed it, is the fun.
I stopped getting the emails, so I was good with that. And then the Google, the G Suite one has a variety of different things. Now I have not updated this lately, and you know Google, they change things all the time, including recently complete revamp into the material design of their interface. So these little hard lines aren't there anymore. Everything's curved now. But generally, you can find a lot of the same things on there. So my little sad face. One of the tips that I like to show, and I can't remember if it's on here or not. No, okay. Is if you accidentally close a tab, and this is one that has saved me many, many times. So here I am on this document, I close the tab and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? Depending on the device you're on, there's a keyboard shortcut to get that tab back. So on my Mac, it's Shift Command T, and it's, you know, it varies by platform. But so that's something that you can see. Let me make this bigger again. Okay. So definitely some handy keyboard shortcuts. If you're not a keyboard shortcut person, I say just learn one a week. Just make that goal of one a week. And which one? Whichever one you need. Because if you can use it over and over, you're going to start feeling like you know that one. And if you're not sure of where to go for keyboard shortcuts, if you look at your menu bars in just about any software, you'll always see, you choose the stuff on the side, well, the keyboard shortcut's over here. So if you're always going to the same menu option, just look for that keyboard shortcut and try to build that into your repertoire. Okay, so this one is more just a fun thing. You can kind of apply some things to it from an instructional design standpoint, and that's customized bullets. I'm gonna make a new Google Doc. All I did was doc.new, gives me a whole new
Yeah.
document. Of course, it's gonna be yet another untitled document in my file there. I'm gonna make this font big. And let's say I have these bulleted items. So, nice little full bullet there. Pet peeve of mine, if it's actually something that's gonna be done in order, give it numbers and letters. If it doesn't matter what order it's in, use bullets and not the letter and number thing. It's just one of my pet peeves. So here they are. I can change those bullets. If I come over to this little bitty triangle, which I just hate that those are so unobvious, but if I click on that little triangle, I have a few options. Very limited. Okay, you're like, come on, Google. There are more options. So if I come over here and I come under Format, and I come under Bullets and Numbering, and I come under List Options, there are a few more, but I can come to more bullets. You have to go deep for this one. So now I can use any of these special symbols as bullets. I can come over here and I can use these little, I can choose emojis, I can pick from all of these different things. So if I know where I'm going, great, but I can search by keyword for an object. I can also draw. So if I wanted to have a smiley face, now I can pick a smiley face. And so now, sad face and smiley face, okay? So I have those options, and you can see they're all changing over there. Well, maybe you're doing a list where maybe not everything is, a happy face. Maybe this one over here needs to be a sad face. So if I click once on a list, it selects all of the bullets. If I click on a specific bullet a second time, now whatever I do is only going to impact that bullet. So if I wanted to have a sad face on that one, so you can mix the emojis inside just to add that extra little layer of some kind of visual to that. These are text, so anything I do, like if I wanted that one to be a really big sad face, all I have to do is have it selected and come up and change my font size, and it's going to change the size of that bullet. If I had them all selected, it would change the font size for that whole list there. All right, so that's the bulleted list. You can also, so I put a link to this. There's a bunch of sites out there that are like this where you can copy emojis. So these display different depending on the device that you're on. But let's say for some reason, you wanted to have this zebra. So I clicked on the zebra, and then down here at the bottom, there's the zebra emoji. All right, so if I copy that zebra, I can come over here and I can paste that zebra into a document. It's just text. Not only can I paste it into a document, I could come up here and I could paste it into the name of a file. So now if I was on Google Drive and I was looking at recent files, there's zebra and there's a little zebra. Okay? If you use Google Sites and you have the name of a page, you can paste the emoji in there as well. So you could actually have the name of a page with an emoji that goes along with that. So anywhere you can paste text, you can paste a text emoji. Like I could do a cat. Change that to a cat. Oh, hey, I wanted the cat. Copy. Oop, now I got the zebra and the cat. All right. Okay, so that's my bulleted list trick. All right, this was one of the coolest things that they added not too long ago. So, live closed captioning of a Google slideshow. All right, so I'm gonna come over here and I'm just gonna do slides.new, make myself yet another untitled presentation. All right, I'm just gonna throw in some numbers here, just so you'll be able to see the slide change. Okay. You have to be in presentation mode for this to work. So I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna click present. I have nothing installed. This is all built into Google Slides. If you look down at the bottom on the menu bar, there's captioning, okay? So I'm gonna click on captions. And so as I talk, it gives me live closed captioning. It does not record it, so it's not keeping this as a file that I could then use. Although you could use voice typing if you wanted to have something like that. You can't put in punctuation, so if I said the word period, it doesn't put in a period, okay? However, if you were screencasting this and you made sure to include that part of it, then that captioning would be in a video.
You can't edit
So,
it, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna exit out of that.
Look at everybody.
That's impressive.
Mhm.
You need to warn us before you blow our minds like
Does it pick up other voices in the room?
It will pick up anything, yes.
Will you do it one more
Because
time?
dragon
Sure.
dictation, well, I think only picks up one voice.
Yeah, as far as I know, it'll pick up anything that's going on in the room. So I have to present,
Wow.
It just picked up somebody else back here.
and I click captions, and so it's hearing my voice. I have to enunciate very clearly, and if I click, it moves to the next slide. Nothing happens down there, so the slide is continuing.
Lynn, say, because you're closest, start talking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Apparently we can.
So I could
Oh
ask
man,
a
a
question.
classroom kids would go crazy with that
Yeah,
though.
That's pretty
I like that questions, kids.
Question kids. Okay, so that's live closed captions there. If you want to keep up with some of the things that Google's always putting out and never warning anybody about, I suggest following the keyword blog. So that's kind of where Google does all of these announcements. So blog.google is the URL. You can go there, and that's where they post a lot of stuff. I put some links to some screencasting apps in case you wanted to try to do some screencasting with that. One of my favorites right now is Loom. I like Loom because you can password protect the videos that you do screencasts of. So if I do some steps for my teachers and just want to do a quick little thing, I can throw a password on there and know that the kids aren't going to get to it. I talked a second about voice typing. So one of the things you can do in Google is voice typing. So on Google Slides, you can voice type in the speaker notes, but I can also come up here and do new.
Do you go and clean those out occasionally? I'm assuming.
The thing about Google Drive is it doesn't matter,
Okay.
you know.
You just have a million untitled
Yeah.
documents.
So tools, voice typing, and so this little mic comes up, and when I want to start recording, I can just click the mic. So now, comma, as I am talking, I can include punctuation, period, new line, and then I can continue on. And so I'm going to stop that. This is a great tool if you've got students who are trying to practice enunciation. They can do that, and the document, if it's reading what they're saying the right way, it does not like accents. So you have to, very purposefully stay away from Southern drawl. I have not tested it on other languages.
That was my next question.
Yeah,
Is
and
that
I don't speak another language, so.
It says
But-
English right there. I bet you can change
But
it. to a
it
different-
does work with, if you're trying to get a transcript of a video, you can have it open. Depending on the quality of the video, you can come over here and click voice typing, start play on the video.
Really? That's great.
And it can get a good bit of it. It may not get all of it, but you know, save a few words of typing and it can be
so
very
if you click
handy.
that drop down by English on the says
Yeah.
Does anybody speak
So what's Spanish?
something?
But I think it's still translated in Spanish.
Translate.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anybody know enough to say a few sentences?
Do Spanish.
Sure.
Arthur, yes, put it in Espanol.
Oh, there's a lot of words in
Everything's
Espanol.
Okay,
Hola,
Arthur.
¿cómo
Hey,
estás?
hang on, I gotta click. All right.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Yeah,
Okay, because
there
it
we
helps
go.
with like the punctuation.
Okay.
I can do that.
Um,
I thought you were going to come out with something.
I'm a man of few words.
I don't have it in this document, and it's not because it's Microsoft. If you've never checked out the translator
Yeah.
that goes along with the Microsoft product,
Yeah.
it's far better than Google Translate, and got to see
Turn that
several.
on, Wanda, and say that sentence again.
Even it was a feature in Leslie Fisher's
Yeah,
gadget session
I've
this
seen
time,
it.
and so
It's good.
she's becoming much more Microsoft now that Microsoft is paying attention to her. But it's very accurate and more grammatically correct than Google. She even had somebody come up in the audience and speak something, and it translated and put it in grammatically correct English. It's got a lot of really good features for conversation mode, where you can have it on a mobile device and put the device flat, and then there's an interface so that there's two different things going on. So
Is
if
it
you-
part of like Word?
it's part of that Office 365
Office 365.
package, yeah. But so definitely something worth looking at. Okay, so that's voice typing there. Okay, so GIF or GIF, whichever one you want to call it. I live in the peanut butter world. I call it GIF more than I call it GIF. But I tend now to just kind of go, between the two. So this particular add-on for Google Slides will let you make an animation from each slide in a slide deck. So think students making a slide deck about solving the steps of a math problem or the parts of the water cycle. And instead of them just having a slide deck, they could use this, make an animation of it, which they live on the GIFs, I'll tell you that. And then you could collect all of those animations in one place, like on a Padlet or a Wakelet, or there's plenty of services out there for that. Notice this is called Docs 365 GIF Maker. It's not from Google, it's not from Office. They put those in there so that if you search for Docs, it'll come up. If you search for 365, it'll come up. Smart people. But so there's a sample deck in here so I could show you. I just put together a countdown. So each slide has 10, 9, down to a little rocket blast off thing here. So if I come in and I use my add-on and I launch that add-on, comes up in the little slide bar. Obviously it would take longer if there were lots of slides. I have found that after about 40 or 50 slides, it pretty much times out, so you don't want to go too much. But you just leave this. You have, you could do other, I'm just going to leave it on Create GIF. You can choose the size. So I'm just going to use the slide size. I don't have to know the slide size. I just say use that. I can make it smaller. You have the ability to choose the length of the slide. It's the same for the whole thing. You can't say I want this slide to be longer, this slide to be longer. You could kind of fake it out by putting the slide in there more than once. Like if you knew that you wanted that first slide to last 3 seconds when all the rest are 1, just put it in there 3 times, you know. So I'm just gonna change that to 1 second. And then you can freeze the last slide for a certain number of seconds if you want. So I'll do that. And then you click generate. And so what it's doing is it's going in, it's getting an image of each one of those slides, you know, stitching them together based on the length of the slide and the length of the last slide, and then it makes an animation and it gives it to you. You can upload it into your drive, you can upload it into the slide deck at that point. I'm just gonna say, I won't save it now because I've got one over here so you can see it. And so this is what it would look like. Because it's each second, I did it by second, so the countdown actually counts by seconds, and then you have that. So if you had, you know, each step of a process, then the kids would have that ability to do that. And because it's in Google Slides, you can do a lot of different stuff. I could come up and say, insert image, camera. Their face could be a part of that, you know. They could have a quote on the side and, you know, do different emojis as a part, you know, and if they wanted to have their face changing, just tell them don't move their body. You know, take one picture there and then go to the next slide, and then suddenly they have an animation of their head, you know. So lots of options there. You could use the drawing tools and, you know, you could put a thought bubble over somebody's head and have that be a part of the animation. So lots of options there for that. Okay, so that's the GIF maker. Remove.bg. So this site, we talked about the white box around the cat. Remove.bg will allow you to remove the background. And this is especially handy on a Chromebook. On a Mac, you can always go in and use Preview and the Instant Alpha. But so you can come in here, let me do, I'll just use this. All right, there's a picture with the 10. So I can come in here, I can select a photo. I am not signed in. Doesn't require a student to sign in to use this. Come over here. No persons. Okay, so it wants a person, but this is essentially what it looks like. It senses where the person is, and without you even having to go in and say, here's the part I want to remove, it removes most of it. So that's remove, it's creepy. Remove.bg. You can, they do have a paid version, and one that does more stuff, but
Well, you got about 14 minutes.
Okay.
Just keeping you up to date.
all right. So I'm a big fan of Google Slides. I will use that for laying out documents. If you don't know, you can come in here to a Google Slide, and it doesn't have to stay that dimension. You can come over to File, Page Setup, and you can change the dimensions of that slide. So I could come in and I could say, I want it to be, you know, the header of my website is, you know, 50 by 220. And now I've got a 50 by 220 image that I could lay out. Or I could come in and say, I want to have, let's do 8.5 by 11 inches. And so now it's kind of laid out like a newsletter. And so you can still use the same kind of steps and stuff on there for laying out documents. Oh, okay, so that's where I was headed. So another thing that I like using Google Slides for is kind of simulating animation and stop motion. So getting away from the add-on, you can come in and lay out slides and move things around so that it almost looks like a little stop motion thing. Back in my childhood, it was the claymation kind of thing, you know. you may have seen this video before. I'm not going to play it all, and I'll fast forward to some of it. But like, so all of that is Google Slides. And hang on a second. All right. Just go. Okay. So that's a Google slide deck. Everything just moving, at a certain, so all of these things are just things that are moved from slide to slide to slide. This is a 450 slide deck. And if you've seen the video before but haven't seen the slide deck, I got my hands on it. So if you want to see what the whole 450 slide deck is like, that's there, so you can kind of see how they move things back and forth. So there's the starting page, and if I just advance through those things, you can see all I did was physically click on things and move them in and out. Right? So that can again, sometimes that's the thing that will catch a student. They will be bored to death with something normal, but they can give you the same information, but do something more creative with it. And so showing that may give them an idea. I put a link to the video that I used when I applied to the Google Teacher Academy. I used a similar process where I did, slide by slide by slide and narrated over it. And I mean, down to, moving things around and this. So I talked about, connecting the dots, and what if we didn't give them the numbers, we just let them connect the dots as they wanted to, and that kind of stuff. But so all of that stuff was just moving things one at a time. Okay, so Google Sheets is probably my second favorite. Especially when it comes to dealing with data and app scripting and trying to hack things together. Google Sheets is great because you can specifically say the bit of information I want is in A2, as opposed to saying it's on line whatever of this Google Doc and go find it. Not too long ago, Google added macros to Google Sheets. Not anywhere near as robust as Excel macros, but it's there. And so there's a link there to kind of show you that. And essentially what the macros does is it's recording the steps that you do, and it's translating it into Google Apps Script behind the scenes. So if learning Google Apps Script, which is JavaScript plus Google libraries kind of all built into the cloud, if you're interested in looking at that, you can use macros kind of as a wizard for learning about app script. You can do something in Google Sheets, go look at the script and see what the script looked like to kind of give you an idea of the process. The session I presented at FETC, I gave you a link to that there. It was about some ways that Lakeland is using Google Apps Script to kind of hack things together. And so that's there. It has a lot of other Google Apps Script resources linked in there, so if that's something you're interested in, you can go over there. I put links to a couple of the slide decks that people shared at FETC if you're interested in that. Three more things here. So Screen Shade is another add-on for Chrome, and what Screen Shade will do is let me just show you. Where is my Screen Shade? There it is. Okay, so when I click Screen Shade, it's going to give me an overlay over the screen, similar to like a Smart and Promethean. So I can just say show overlay. Now my Chrome window is covered. I have the ability to come in and open it up and have different parts of it visible. The part that I really like is, let's say you're going around the classroom helping students. You've got half of a math problem up there. The solution is behind the shade. And after 5 minutes, you want the shade to go away, but you don't want to have to come up and make it go away because the students won't tell you. It's just going to sit there. I'm just gonna put 5 seconds, but you could put 5 minutes. And so it puts a countdown on it, plus it goes away after that. So you don't even have to intervene. So you can be up floating around, class continues because it goes away after a certain point. It does not have a beep, it doesn't have an audible thing there. But so that's screen shade. Flippity is kind of a catch-all for things that if you've got them in a Google Sheet, these are all Google Sheet add-ons. You can come in and I say Google Sheet add-ons, that's what they have been. They're starting to get to a point where you can just use the online interface to do these. But so like here's their version of Jeopardy, right? They didn't violate copyright law. They call it a quiz show. You can download the demo. It has instructions. You can grab the template. But so this is what it would look like. And it's all powered off of content in a Google Sheet. So you don't have to come in here and edit and link things and do all this other stuff. You just have the stuff in the Google Sheet template, and it does all of that. It has teams, and so it has flashcards. There's a name picker. They just launched not too long ago a scavenger hunt, so great for like digital breakout kind of things. Words that have different kinds of shapes and stuff, so you can do that. You could grab screenshots of that, put it like if you're you need that word as a Scrabble tile, you can come in here and do that, and it gives it to you as a Scrabble tile. Timeline, there's a badge tracker, there's a progress tracker. So if you just want to have those sliding bars, it's all based on what's in a Google Sheet. So it's very easy to update.
So basically you just upload your sheet.
Yes, and if you're doing Google Forms and it's already going into a sheet, then you could actually have live based on what comes in it from a Google form as well. One more trick I want to show you, and all the other stuff is in there, and y'all already know how to find me, but my contact information's at the end, is Google Maps. So if you're on Google Maps and you zoom all the way out, you get the globe, right? So if I zoom in, this is what Google Maps would normally look like. I can zoom all the way out, and I could see the Earth, right? But if I zoom even further out, now when I rotate the Earth, it shows me where the sun is in relation to the globe. And this is real time. I mean, where the sunset line, sunrise line is. And it will do it for different planets as well. So now there's Mercury. So that's where the sun is in relation to Mercury. And so you can go through all of those and it will show you that. Obviously, you cannot do Street View on Mercury. You can do Street View on Mars. Not really Street View, but so if I came, let me zoom out of this, and you can do the moon as well. So I'm going to come to Mars. Because of the rover and everything there, I can zoom into Mars. And so I can come over here and I can see these pictures. Okay, maybe we can't do Street View. But you can do some 3D stuff in there as well, so you can kind of zoom into the craters and stuff. But so you can do the same thing on the moon. Zoom in on the moon, 3D, 2D. And then if you've never played around with Street View, and don't do this in front of kids because you never know what you're going to get. But you can take little Peg Man down here. You can take Peg Man and just hold him. You see where the blue is? That's anywhere where there's Street View. So you could randomly take Peg Man and just drop him somewhere. And whew, okay, it's not a nude beach, all right. And so this happens to be a 360 picture that Andreas Grunau took while he was on vacation and added it to Google Maps. So you can find a lot of interesting things that way. Sometimes things you don't want to see, but so Pegman is a very handy little tool there as well. So lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff inside of this document that you can go explore and spend forever on. I try to take things out when they're no longer active. So if you find something that's bad, tell me and we'll take it out.
How many times have you added to it again? 16 million?
16,000 or something.
Wanda, thank you. Let's give Wanda
Yes.
a round of applause. I told you you would find, even if you've seen bits and pieces of this when she does the